Hello everybody, it's your local, not a soldier main, Sidonix here, and today we'll be looking at whether the stock weapons are viable or not in today's current meta of TF2. With all of the side grades and upgrades and direct upgrades every single weapon, there are so many other options than the stock. It really leaves the question, is stock still viable for certain classes? Today we'll be answering that and much more. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 40 subscribers, so if you could help me get there, that'd be amazing. It would really make my day if we could get to 40 today, the day of the release of this video, as it is my first real commentary video with lots of editing put into it. So I would really enjoy if you would just hit that red button so that you will get notified of my videos. I will be making similar great content, probably even better than this one because it is my first video. So I really hope that you enjoy, and yeah, that's it. So the first class in TF2, when you open the menu, that you see is Scout. Scout stock weapons are the scattergun, the pistol, and the bat. The scattergun is basically a shotgun. It just has a different name, and it does basically the same thing. It has decent damage and a bunch of ammo in the clip compared to things like the Force of Nature and the Soda Popper. It's still viable, and a lot of people like to use the stock scattergun, mostly because it has more ammo in the clip than most of the alternatives, and nobody uses the babyface. The pistol, although not quite as viable as a few of the other options, such as Bonk and the other two pistols, it still is a decent scout weapon, and I do see people running it at times. As the others completely outclass it, so I'm going to go with a not viable on the pistol for scout, because he has so many other utilities that are just better, and to remove some clip size for increased jump height or maybe for some healing, it really improves Scout's gameplay. And then finally we have the bat, which is all around just a good melee, and for most of the melees in this, they'll probably be viable because not many of the melees are that bad, especially at stock. Although there are some good side grades, stock is always viable for most of the classes. Although there is like one that we'll mention later. So next we have the soldier. The soldier has the rocket launcher, the shotgun, and of course the shovel as his melee. The rocket launcher is viable, in my opinion. It's consistent, it has 4 rockets in the clip, and it is a trustworthy weapon. Although there are many other viable options, such as the black box, which removes 1 rocket from the clip, but you gain health for the amount of damage that you do. Overall, the stock rocket launcher is still a viable option because it deals consistent damage and doesn't have many upsides or downsides from the other side grades. Next, we have the shotgun for soldier. I'm going to call this one viable, but you do have some freedom in what you choose to put here instead. Because soldier has multiple banners and the conch, and a bunch of other cool items such as the gunboats and the man-treads that you could be putting here instead of the shotgun. But if you do have a Pyro on the other team, it's good to have the shotgun because then you can counter the air blast by shooting him with some bullets, which he can't reflect. I mean, Valve, come on, fix this. Pyro should reflect bullets. No, he really shouldn't. But anyways, finally we have the stock melee for soldier, which is the shovel. I honestly think the shovel is a decent melee for soldier and is going in viable. There aren't too many arguments you could make in the not viable area for soldier's melee, specifically because the soldier melees do a bunch of variety things, but are not nearly as good as stock. Unless, of course, you count the Market Gardener, which a lot of Trolgers use, which is a good weapon, but the stock does more damage than the Market Gardener, especially if you're not rocket jumping. Next we have the Pyro, which starts out with the base flamethrower, the shotgun, and the fire axe. Starting off with the flamethrower, this is a really good flamethrower for using your ability to air blast. It doesn't have any extra cost for how much you need to use for air blasting, so it's a great option. This stock isn't really that bad compared to the back burner and the flog. It really isn't bad at all, especially if you're facing off against a lot of soldiers. This one is great for air blasting. Next we have the shotgun. This one is good against other pyros, which is why I'm keeping it in the viable. Despite having flare guns, which do a lot more damage to other classes than another pyro, I still feel like the shotgun is useful in those pyro on pyro fights in case you come across one of them. So yes, indeed, the stock shotgun is viable for pyro. And then finally we have the stock fire axe, which is viable because there isn't much wrong with the stock fire axe. It doesn't do too much that is different from any of the other side grades, and it's a decent melee. Although you may argue that the power jack is better due to the speed boost, I still say that the fire axe is viable because I do see people running it all the time. Next we have the Demo Man, who starts out with the grenade launcher, the sticky launcher, and finally the bottle. Starting off with the grenade launcher, this one is definitely viable. It has more ammo in the clip, it does consistent damage, and you may not like the rolling. However, I feel like it is a decent weapon. I don't feel like you need to use something else, even with the Demo Man meta. However, if you are playing the Demo Knight, it isn't really that viable, but hybrid knights use it all the time. I'm going to exclude the Demo Knight for most of this because Demo Knight is kind of its own class and it doesn't really invalidate many of Demo Man's weapons. Sticky Launcher is a good weapon for the Demo Man because it has base stats, and those base stats are great because the Quickie Launcher does less damage. The Scottish resistance is kind of weird, although I do see a lot of people using that one. I still think that the stock sticky is going to output the most damage easily for a player. And then finally, we have the bottle, which is arguably one of the two melees that can be removed from this list. I don't think the bottle is a viable melee, especially for the Demo Man, who has swords. The Demo Man, for the cost of a little bit of switch speed, can have a sword that does far more damage and has a much longer range. So why not use a sword instead of the bottle the next time you play Demo Man? Next we have the heavy weapons guy, one of my favorite classes personality-wise. Is the stock minigun viable? I'd say no. It's completely outclassed by the Tomislav. Although there are some arguments against this, I do feel like the Tomislav's increased accuracy and faster spin-up time makes it a much better minigun than the stock minigun. Next, we have the shotgun on Heavy, which I have to argue is a horrible weapon for Heavy. He already has a projectile-based weapon as his primary, so why would you need a shotgun? Because Pyro can't air blast it, and Pyro isn't flame resistant to a shotgun. Honestly, you're going to be better going with either the banana or the sandwich in this case. So, shotgun for Heavy? Not viable. Next, oh wait, Heavy has melees. I forgot about that. Stock melee for Heavy? Not viable because the Fist of Steel, the Gru, and a few other of the melees for Heavy are just better. Heavy is all around just not a good stock class. Although he is playable, he's not as good as he could be with some of the side grades. Unless, of course, you count the sandwich items, which aren't even side grades. They're just direct upgrades from the shotgun. And next, we have the Engineer. I feel like the Engineer's stock weapons are all great. Starting off with the... well, let's start off with the wrench. The The wrench is the base weapon for the engineer, and I feel like it is completely viable. Although you may say that the gunslinger and the Jag are better, I honestly think that the stock engineer wrench is just decent. It's good, it's gonna do what you need it to, and it's gonna kill those spies. The stock pistol for engineer is all around a great weapon, especially for spy checking. Although you may say that the Wrangler is a great side grade, I do feel like the pistol deserves its light. A certain uncle of mine, he's named Uncle Dane. He's everybody's uncle, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, he says that the pistol is a pretty C or A or B tier weapon because it's good. It has 200 ammo. It's just a decent weapon, especially if you're trying to save your crits in your shotgun. If you have something like the Frontier Justice, it's a good weapon. You don't want to waste those crits on a spy now, do you? No. Yeah, then we have the shotgun. This one's good. It's a shotgun. It's gonna do what it needs to, especially because engineer relies on his buildings. The shotgun is just great. And then we have the construction PDA, I'm pretty sure. There's no side grades for this, so of course it's viable. Next we have the medic, which I have a lot of issues with. First off, we have the meta gun, which is great. The stock meta gun, the uber pushes just do so much for your team. Although they're short, they can push through points. Anything. You can get through a choke point so easily with the stock meta gun. Arguably, people think that the quick fix is good as well. However, the stock meta gun is going to get you through those choke points even easier. Now, hello, I'd like to just cut in real quick. I lost the recording for the spy and the sniper, I'm pretty sure, in the final video, so I have to re-record this, and I don't really have any gameplay or anything, so I'm just gonna talk through the rest of my script here. So, next we have the sniper, who has the sniper rifle, the SMG, and the kukri. The sniper rifle deals consistent damage, and it's a great base weapon because it does what it needs to do. The SMG is a good secondary for finishing off annoying light classes such as the Scout, who try and get up all in your grill. It's also good for finding out spies without running out of ammo for your sniper rifle. And then finally we have the stock melee for the sniper, which is good, of course, unless you're using the piss bottle, in which case you're going to want to use the bushwhacker, which can deal major damage to things like spies and scouts, whatever you hit with your piss, classic sniper stuff. And then finally we have the spy, who has a really horrible stock weapon. The revolver is just very bad because you can do better with things such as a Latranger, which grants you more cloak, or even the ambassador, which gives you crits on headshot. And then even the Diamondback, which is way better because it gives you crits for every backstab that you do, and backstabbing is the main thing that a spy should be doing. Then we have the stock knife. I honestly think the stock knife is good. Many people argue that the spy sickle is a direct upgrade, but I honestly just like the stock knife because I feel like it gets the job done, and you don't have your knife melting all the time. And then finally we have the Invis Watch, which does what it needs to do. You can collect ammo, you can stay invisible for long amounts of time, and it's great paired with the Latranger. I personally prefer the Cloak and Dagger, but I noticed that the Invis Watch is also an amazing watch. And then we have the Sapper, which I usually forget about, because the red tape recorder is just a joke. Like, you're never going to use the red tape recorder. So of course the Sapper is so much better because it is going to kill those sentries, unlike this red tape recorder, which it reverses sentries, but by the time that they're reversed, like back 2 levels, the engineer could already have 200 metal and just upgrade it straight back to where it was. So it's not going to make too much of a difference. Use the regular sapper, shoot down those sentries. And then I'm pretty sure that's all the classes. I lost my intro when I was editing, so I'm going to... Not my intro, my outro actually, so I'm just going to do it again. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm really looking for hopefully 50 subscribers maybe by the end of this video, and we'll see how that does. I plan on releasing more videos. The next video is supposed to be scheduled for Thursday or Friday. I think I'm going to do something about the heavy, and I'm going to just do some heavy gameplay and what I like to do as heavy. And that should be fun to watch. As we're wrapping up here in the end, I'd like to say thank you for watching again.